Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to Medicine of the Soul with me, Ashlee Z. It's been a week. I know it's been a week. I promised myself that I would upload one YouTube video every single week so that it takes some time to think about what I actually want to come on here and discuss. This week it's about shadow work. And I want to talk about that because there is a complete difference to the way I behave, feel, look at the world, all of those things now versus before I started doing shadow work. And all shadow work is asking those questions to yourself about what makes you uncomfortable, about why you feel the way you feel, why you behave in certain ways, why you have patterns. Like, why do you keep attracting the same things but in different forms? People, places, and things. And then also, why did you make certain choices in your life? What got you to that? What belief about yourself made you choose that thing, that place, that way of life? Now, granted, we have outside circumstances that sort of guide us as well, because let's be honest, if shadow work was easy, we'd all be doing it. If we all wanted to see why we behave in the way that we behave, we'd look, we'd explore, we'd continue down the rabbit hole. But let's be honest, it's not easy. It's easier to stay the same than it is to change. And on top of that, we live in this culture, this society, this world that tells us how to be in order to be liked, in order to be loved, in order to be seen. More money, more power, you're better. All of these random things. Don't even get me started about consumerism because I am a consumer. But I try very hard not to be. And yet I still find myself in that sometimes. So, shadow work. How did I get from zero, not knowing why I do things, really just kind of like going through the day, going through the motions, just sort of being in the mindset of this happens to me. There's nothing I can do about it. I am frozen in this space, in this time, in this way. I'm doing what I'm doing. Versus, I can do anything that I want. Yeah, it might not be easy. Yeah, I might struggle a little bit. But most of the times, the things that are difficult are worth it. Simple as that. Because if it wasn't, then you'd be happy with where you're at right now. That's the simple truth. If everything was easy and you were loving life and you had no qualms about anything that you're going through, anything that you're coming up against, then you have nothing to worry about. But if you're sitting and you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I actually do want to change. There's something here that there's something that's not quite right in my life. I know that I can do better. I know that I am better. I know that I can choose something different. If that's you, it's time for you to look within, my loves. And you can do this in a couple different ways. You can do it in therapy. You can do it with a coach, mentor. You can do it just by journaling. And you can do breath work. Breath work is for those that don't really need to know why, but they know they need to move through something. Because you really don't need to know why in a lot of times, like a lot of spaces. Like, why, when I was 5 years old, feel this way? Well, I mean, you were 5, you were a kid, like a bunch of different things could have happened. But that doesn't mean that you need to sit and dwell on it and let it rule your life. Give it space. See if you can handle it. And if you can't, then get help. That's it. It's as simple as that. And I know it sounds simple. I'm making it sound so much easier than it is. Trust me, I know that. But the very, very first step is admitting that you want something different, that you want to do something different, and not feel bad about that. Because it's going to trigger a lot of people, a lot of places, and a lot of things around you, because you're going to say things differently, you're going to do things differently. And oftentimes when you're not afraid of how do I put this? Let me think on it for a second. When you get comfortable with yourself enough that sometimes the things that you say, the things that you believe, the things that you reflect on, not everyone's gonna like it. And yeah, it might be people that you're closest with. It might be your friends, your family, your whoever, chosen family. They might not like what you have to say. And that's really hard. I see you in that because it is hard. But at the same time, you are living your life, not them. So, what I'm saying is, shadow work helps you see your part in those moments that you didn't like, that got you to feel certain ways, certain things. Because guess what? Every moment, if you're not in it alone, takes more than just you, but you are a part of it. And so, asking yourself a shadow work question: why do I feel so insecure? Simple as that. Journal it, voice note it, think on it, feel on it, see what comes up. Notice those little movements in your body. Sometimes when I ask these questions, I get flares in my voice, like just now, because it's tough to get out. Sometimes I get hip pain because, we store a lot of emotions in our hips. Sometimes I get so tired. So it's just noticing these little things about you. And also, what triggered it? Why am I so insecure right now? Why do I feel so sad right now? And maybe it's even deeper than sadness. Why do I feel so fearful right now? Which is being masked by sadness. It's asking these tough questions, but then when you ask, it's paying attention and noticing in the days that come afterwards of you noticing. It's continuously noticing what comes up and why this pattern keeps playing out over and over and over again. What were the triggers? What happened? And why? Why did I choose to feel this again? Because everything is a choice. Everything is a choice, my loves. And I'm not saying that you go around preaching about shadow work. That's, I've been there. When you start doing it, you want everyone else to do it, but guess what? Not everyone is going to be on your train. I know that. It's why I created Medicine of the Soul, because there weren't a lot of people talking about how great this is. There weren't a lot of people that wanted to admit that a lot of their behaviors sucked and still suck because they still choose to be in that. They could have all the money, power, and looks that they want, and yet I 0% want their life. 0%. That's not a joke. So, without getting too distracted here, shadow work was the very beginning. It's the very beginning foundational step to changing your life. And changing your life is a big statement. It didn't just happen overnight. In fact, when you do this work, you will see the pattern coming up over and over and over again. But you know what happens when you stay consistent? You see the change over time. Come on. Have you ever seen a parabolic graph? A sinusoidal wave? Over time, it can go through ups and downs. Come on. That's my nerd side coming out. It comes out all the time. But where I'm getting at is that I woke up, you have heard the story. I woke up one day and said, no, definitely, I cannot. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want these people around me. I don't want to feel this way anymore. And for me, that meant walking away. For me, that meant I need to start over. For you, that might mean something different. It might mean signing up for therapy, which I did at the time too, for the second time. It might be that you are so deep in your patterns that you can't even see the other side. But you know what? You will get there. If you want it, you will get there. And just like my beautiful fractal queen friend always says, you start with the parts of yourself that are running the show, the parts that are in the driver's seat. And let me tell you, look up parts work. It's beautiful. Sometimes that 4-year-old that got hurt, that got blown off, that got left behind, sometimes they're the ones driving the car, not you. They're the ones choosing the things that you're choosing in that moment, not you. So don't you want to look at that? Don't you want to parent that 4-year-old, the parent that you never had, the parent that you wish you had? That's you. That is you. So instead of taking it out on everything, everyone, being the what's the word? Victim of your own story, maybe it's time that you take the reins and you start challenging that and you start fighting your way out of that and becoming the heroine of the story. Maybe. It's just a thought. And I just want you to know that not every day when you do this work is going to be a beautiful day. In fact, you're going to remember things, you're going to think back on things, and you're going to realize that you caused some of the hurt, that you were hurt, and that it's still with you. Those choices you made, whether they're good or not, or whatever you deem them to be, they either helped you or they didn't. They hurt someone or they didn't. Or you needed that when you really didn't. And so think about that. Think about that. Because boy, if I would have done this work years ago, which I did, but I mean like when I was 18, my whole life would be different. Absolutely. I probably wouldn't even be living where I'm living. I'd probably be, if I had to guess about where I'd be in life, I'd probably be living in Europe. It's just a matter of fact. I probably would be maybe doing the same thing in life because I enjoy it, but also maybe not. So think on that. But the difference is that I would have never seen that unless I chose to look at the shadows to allow my inner light to shine. That's all it is. It's your shadows. You can look at it as a cage because, honeys, sometimes it is a cage. They're wrapped around your soul so tight because that's what you did to survive. Those are the choices, the beliefs, the values that you had to survive. And maybe, just maybe, you're ready for it to fall away because you've got you now. You've got you. So what does that soul, what does your soul, the light behind the shadows? Because shadows cannot exist without light. They feed off each other. Look it up, it's physics, if you don't believe me. But where I'm getting at is that maybe, just maybe, if you're here watching this, you're ready. You're ready to confront your feelings. You're ready to start using your voice. You're ready to start figuring out why you feel the way you feel, so you stop taking it out on everyone else and you start taking responsibility for you, because no one's going to fix you. It's not anyone else's job but yours, including your parents. It is not their job to do your work for you. And I got a little aggressive. But yeah. Okay, bye.